On my story today, Senator Eze Ajoku takes us through his upbringing, challenges, and how he rose through the ladder, both as a politician and businessman. This story will not only motivate you, but highlights the path to success. Happy viewing.
There's what you call grand corruption, petty corruption, and systemic corruption.
Free education is the cheapest project the government can embark, unlike construction.
Small issues like lights, steady power supply. For me, that's the biggest issue.
We need to look at socio-political, economic foundations and resilience organizations for our teenagers.
Leadership is an opportunity for you to serve other people. And if you are not willing to serve, you have no business being in leadership.
My name is Senator Eze Ajoku. I was born in 1947 in a village called Ameze, Obibi-Ezena, in Owerri North local government of Imo State. My growing up was both in my village and in Lagos, because I started my elementary school in my village in St. Peter's Anglican Primary School, and from there I went on to join my father in Lagos, and I finished my elementary school at All Saints School, Yaba on Montgomery Road. In 1963, and in 1964 I went on to Government Secondary School Owerri, and I was there till 1966 when the war started. I was in class 4, and at the end of the war we were put in the same class with those who were in class 5 before the war, and we all took the school certificate exams in 1970, but of course the exams was cancelled in as a young boy then, and then we had to retake the exams in 1971, and from there on I went to University of Ife, now OAU, for my degree program. But growing up was very exciting and interesting, because my father was married to 2 wives, and in those days he had to, a wife would stay with him. When that one gets pregnant, that one will go to the village, and those of us who were the children will either stay or we go with our mother. It was that kind of arrangement, because my father used to work with the Army Auxiliary. What I mean by Army Auxiliary is that he was a soldier. He fought in the Second World War. When they came back, he retired, but he started working with the Army also. And they were regarded as wardens. They stood at the gates of military camps. They stood at, they were just like the policemen of the Army, but they were not the military police. Anyway, so for me as a young boy, I had to help my parents to ensure that the needs of the family were met. And in those days, you could go to afternoon school, in elementary school, or morning school. And what we used to do is that because my mother used to sell some things, I would go hawking those things. For example, we hawked kerosene in the evenings because people needed to put them in their lanterns for the night. And in the morning, we hawked things like firewood or palm oil, for people to cook. This groundnut oil business was not so much in those days. It was more palm oil that you had to carry in bottles and go and sell. So for me, it was a lot of fun. I would rush to sell my own, come back, dress up, run to school, come back. In the evening, you could be asked to go and sell another. But all that taught me was hard work, that I could combine all of these things, go to school, help my parents, and sometimes even by weekends, we go to fetch the firewood, from very distant places. And my father used to say that hard work does not kill. It can make you slim, but it toughens you. And I can say that in life, I owe my success to those initial foundations of hard work as a young boy. I carried it on to my university, and I've carried it on to my work career all through life.
I remember one day I went out to eat in my neighbor's house. My father was very angry with me. Soldiers, if you're a soldier's child, you don't mess around. I remember one day he made me kneel down on my knees and he put a drum over my head and tapped on that drum. The noise, it was like the whole world was sounding over your head. And after that day, I never did any of those things he said I shouldn't do. The fear of your father, your parents, when you were growing up, like the scripture says, is the beginning of wisdom. You just fell in line, especially when they have your interest at heart. They are struggling to make sure that your needs were met, and they are carrying you along to support, to make sure that your need and the others, and whatever way you could do, like hawking those things, going to sell things, I didn't see them as something I didn't like. Even if I didn't like them, I needed to contribute to the purse of the family. And in the end, they were used to pay my fees, we all ate together, we played our ball, we enjoyed. So I didn't miss any part of it. But remember that in those days, we were not just jumping into vehicles like people jump now. No daddy was carrying you to school. Consider where Montgomery Road is at Yaba. And as a child, I was living in Bariga. And I go to school to Yaba every day on foot. And I will run back home. Okay? We just run through IDH. We pass through the current there's a school of tech there, right somewhere down in Yaba, you just walk and you're happy, you're running to school, you run. I used to have a military bag. I used to put the bag on my back, lap it on and then you run. You walk to school and you go to school in the morning and you walk back home. It's so different from what it is now. So I was never forced to do anything I didn't want to. But I was brought up in the military sense, a soldier's child, and you just had to do what is right, and they guided you properly. And my father's guidance with my mom has turned out to the great personality I am today. Coming this far has been an attitude issue. I've had the right focus. I wanted to be somebody in life. I didn't want to be at the level of my father. I wanted to improve myself. And the only way to do it was by dint of hard work. When I graduated from the university, I went to work for a company called Kiltola Williams Chartered Accountants, an indigenous firm, the first indigenous accounting firm in Nigeria. I worked for them for 2 years or 27 months. Then I suddenly realized that I needed more money to support my family. I was not married yet. So I had to tell one of my colleagues, a senior partner in the place, I said, I need another job that pays me more. And he spoke to a friend of his, one Mr. Adekaka, okay, at Rand Xerox, Nigeria. And I was invited for an interview. I went there. The long and short of it is that I got employed. And I saw that as an opportunity to prove myself. I worked really very hard, and I became a very good example in the company. If there was anything to be done, call Eze. If there was any task to be done, call him. And by that, I moved up and I became the first Nigerian general manager, because Rand Xerox was 60% foreign and 40% local. And I became the first Nigerian general manager in charge of sales. And when I had done very, very well, the company promoted me to regional general manager to look after the West and Central Africa from Abidjan. So I moved to live in Côte d'Ivoire. I did that work for 2 years and I turned things around for them. And I felt that the company in East Africa, the Rand Xerox company there, needed someone like me. Just reading comments of one of my a colleague of mine who was my junior was sent to Nairobi as the technical manager, and he saw that the company was making losses. He just told them, look, if you want this place to be turned around, look for the guy called Eze Ajoko. He's the best salesperson in Nigeria and he will do a good job. So they contacted me with a promise to becoming the future MD of the place. So I moved on to Nairobi as head of sales and marketing for East Africa. And but they didn't fulfill their part of the bargain, so we fell out. And I left and I set up my own, and my company has done very, very well. I went into politics, ran for governorship in 1999 for Imo State, because what actually happened was that I went there by coincidence, and when I saw all the people who were running for governorship, I just asked myself, these people don't have a multinational experience, and therefore I was very competent and qualified to manage Imo as a business rather than these people. So I also declared interest 3 months to the primaries, and I had a very good showing, but the governorship was zoned to another area away from me. And after I went to the Senate and left the Senate in 2007, I made up my mind to go back to my business. What really happened was that when I was in politics, my wife was standing in for me to run my business, because I work with my son and with my wife in the business. And it was easy for me to come back. That's the problem with many politicians. They abandon their business, they go and do politics. By the time they finish, there's no more business. So they stay there, is a do or die, we will die here, okay? But I was able to walk back to my business, negating that saying that once a politician, always a politician. So since 2008, I walked away from politics. I've come back to my business, focusing on my business, and God has helped me as part of my life story, okay? I have 4 children, I'm married, and by God's grace, we've been able to train them in the 4 professional areas. The first son is an engineer. My second daughter is a medical doctor. She just finished from Harvard and she's gone to Johns Hopkins to do a PhD as a doctor. My other son, who is an accountant, is working with me here. And my last girl is a lawyer, working with a multinational in Lagos. And what I've had to do in trying to mentor more children is that I've started an orphanage and I'm mentoring some babies and children. I have 19 children at my orphanage here in Abuja. And I'm also having left politics, working with the elderly. I started an NGO called Graceful Aging Fellowship, and we teach people the need to age gracefully, live long and healthy. You know, one problem in this country is that there are programs for youths, there are programs for women, there are no programs, national programs for men, and there is none for the elderly. Okay, so I have started a program for the elderly, trying to make sure that they are healthy and that they do well. And then I've also championed the formation of a coalition of all the groups working with the elders, you know, whether in civil service or military, all the organizations, and we've formed a coalition of societies for the right of older persons. We've been able to come out with a bill which yet is not in National Assembly, and we're looking at the right and benefits of the older persons. So those are the kind of things I'm personally involved now as a senior citizen. In my life, there's nothing like luck, you know. Luck is a lazy man's approach. Either you're lucky or you're not lucky. No, there's if you work hard. Two, if you focus well, don't be distracted by everything that comes your way. God may have left you at a certain level for a purpose. Find out why you're at that level, and find out whether there's an opportunity for you to move to the next level. Because there is a season for everybody and a time for everything. You know, your season may not have come in that situation you come. So bear it. You know, look at the life of people like Joseph in the Bible. There was a season to go to prison. There was a season to run. There was a season to become prime minister. Nobody should give up in life. Life, until it is over, it is never over.
Early at 11, I could go to the market, you know, shop, come home. I cook for the whole family, a family of 10 at that tender age.
Times I have to go selling akara to make some little money, or to be given some few of those akara as part of the payment.
From JS3 to XS3, I was working in the market in Warri, in a particular market called Besu Market. I was pushing wheelbarrow and truck, then as a student.
A difficult childhood may or may not prevent someone from achieving your goals. For example, if you have no opportunity financially of going to university, it could. But let me tell you, I did not have opportunity that my parents would pay for my school university fees. And what I did was I told my father I must go to university. My father didn't have the money because at the end of the war, you remember, every Igbo man was only given 20 naira. Whatever money you had in their account. The policy of the government at that time was that the money of the Igbo man was useless, whatever amount he had in the bank. So if you go to your bank, even if you have 4 million naira or whatever the pounds, they just give you 20 naira, and that's all. So every Igbo man had to start afresh. And 1972 was too close to the end of the war when I went to university. But I told my father we went to an uncle who had a lot of bosses before the war, but at the end of the war he had only 3 more. Wanted to ask him to assist. He told us his own problems. Then I remember that there's my uncle who is a military doctor. So I told my father, let's go to that military doctor. He would assist me. Let's borrow money from him and we will be able to pay when I finish. And we went. He said, do you have admission? I said, no. He said, the first thing you talk about is get admission for university and then start looking for the money. So I went, got admission, went back to him and gave me the first 3,000 naira, which I used to go to University of Ife from Owerri. And as God will have it, in those days, the 5 universities in Nigeria, the government used to give the best 10 students in every university what they call National Award Scholarship. So God helped me that year. I was among the best 10 first-year students in Ife, and that was how I won a national award, and the money was enough for me and for me to send home to my father to support my younger ones. Remember that it is not only by going to university a child becomes successful. There are people who have become very successful mechanics. In those days, we used to call people carpenter. They graduated, they become upholstery makers, and today they are furniture makers, and many of them have done well. So you can do well as a child, wherever your destiny calls. So my appeal to younger people, if they are listening to this broadcast, is don't give up on yourself, because life is not over. You can, even if you've having a difficult childhood at this minute, know that God has a plan and a purpose. Key into God's will for your life. Pursue and have a purpose, and God will make a way for you. Government has a role in helping children who are having difficult upbringing. And I think that's where the government has failed the young people. Because by now in this country, there should be free education at all levels. So when you have given that child the platform for performance, he will not have any reason to fail. So government should come up with policies that allows every child to have school certificate or have university degree or go to technical school, so that that child would have gained some skill or education that allows that child to now say, I want to be a foolish boy, or I want to be a foolish girl. Government has a responsibility to allow the Christian or Muslim faith to mold a child the way you go. Because without those values, godly fear, respect for parents and all that, our children, even when they have difficult times, do not have any direction to go, because nothing within is guiding them, nothing is propelling them. They just reason out a thing or follow one person. And also, there's the need for government to start more vocational places for young people who are unemployed, or give appropriate direction in terms of what younger people should do. Make our education relevant to what the young people should do. Most of the people walking around the street now are graduates of this and graduates of that. But if we have been able to channel our education to the needs of Nigeria, those children, when they graduate, will find a niche somewhere in the area they've been developed. Parents should put into their vocabulary the word no to certain demands of their children. If parents can be bold enough to tell their children no, and bring them up and counsel with them and know where their children are, support them, not to help them to cheat, because I hear rumors that some parents help their children to pass JAMB, help them to do that. Once you've started helping your child to cheat, your child will carry it all along. When he wants to cheat again, he will call you, give me money to do this. It's like these days, you hear that they post people for youth corps, and with 50,000, they are reposted back to another place. So all those things, and their parents give them the money to do that. With all those things, once parents show the right examples, their children would. My parents, my father showed me the right example. Today I can refer to him, and I do not have any regrets about it. The society itself, those of us who have been blessed by God and have privileges, should extend those privileges to those who do not have. That is where the society can play a role. Many of us who have a lot of money in the banks and everywhere should be able to start helping those who can reach, and then support them to become somebody. Mentor a child, and the country will be better. And I'm going to be 70 years old on the 3rd of September. And my wife is also 60, though she was 60 in April, but we're celebrating together 70 and 60, 130 years, both of us. And it will be a big celebration on that day. I invite people to come and rejoice and give glory to God, because my life story is that of grace and grace, nothing but grace alone, from where I've come and how God has helped me. That's my story. The story of my life has been God at the beginning, God in the middle, and God where I am now. And I'm believing that God will help me to live longer, because my mother is 99. She's very strong. She walks around. She does everything for herself. So I hope that I can live that. But if God calls me home anytime, my hope will be that I will see His face, and that I would qualify to come into His kingdom, having accepted Christ and having been living to glorify His name. And this is my story.
And that's it on My Story today. For your comments and suggestions, please send a text or WhatsApp message to 0806 004 2843. Thank you for staying tuned.